All right, welcome to this week's Points and Miles report here on Traveling on Everyday Spend. Got some information that I want to make sure that you get here to start the week, and looking forward to bringing it to you. So won't waste your time. Let's just jump right on into it. So when we're looking at the credit card offers that are going on right now, not too much has changed, but we do have some defined time frames on some things. Obviously, the Delta Sky Miles cards are good through October 29th for you to be able to look at. I've done a review of those cards with that. I'll make sure to have that in the description. We then have the Hilton Honors cards, which are the new batch that came out, I think, last week. But surprisingly, we have all the way until January 14th for those, which is pretty abnormal for it to be that long. So plenty of time to take your time through this and see where it falls at within your strategy. The one key cards for Verbo, Hotels.com, Expedia have the elevated offers, so you can definitely take a look at those. And then when we move to the Alaska credit cards, we still don't have any timeline of when they may end. So definitely, I'm a huge fan of the Atmos Summit card. Just finishing up the required $6,000 spend on that card, and looking forward to being able to take it international for that 3 points per dollar, which is very unique of any other credit cards. Barclays with their JetBlue credit cards still are out there at the 80,000 points across the board that you can take a look at. And we still have the Capital One credit cards that have the no annual fee, Quicksilver, Saver Rewards, as well as the Venture One. That's a really nice deal if it's something that fits within your schedule. And then for Chase, we still have the Sapphire credit cards. Now, we do have a defined date of when the IHG cards are going to end, and it appears that they're going to end on October 22nd is when those three cards are going to end. So factor that in as well. And then we still have the Avios credit cards just started, and we also have the United Club, United Business cards through November 5th for those. And of course, we have the Marriott Bonvoy cards, and then obviously that ends up being ones to look at, especially if you're going to look at going towards the Ritz Carlton process that you have to do. And it is a journey, but it all starts with having 1 year in with one of the Chase Marriott cards first. So that is the first step if you're looking to do that. The City Strata Elite did bump up their points from 80,000 to 100,000 points, but they also raised the required spend to $5,000. And I apologize, I don't have the $5,000 updated, but it is updated to $5,000. And I think what we're seeing is the same thing we saw with Chase Sapphire Reserve when they raised that fee, is trying to find the right footing, trying to find the right welcome bonus to get people to really get into that card. And I think it still has not done as well as they anticipated. And definitely the City Strata Elite has had its issues from what the package they're offering, plus the fact of those issues of them challenging people's income became a big deal. So I don't know if the 100,000 points are going to make a huge difference, but that is going to be their attempt to be able to do that. Now, when we come to the transfer bonuses, we still have a lot of transfer bonuses, but a lot of these are going to be ending within the next week. Citi is the one that obviously came out strong with Avianca, Virgin Atlantic, and Turkish, and then Qatar is directly through their website, not through Citi's. So the three for Avianca, Virgin Atlantic, and Turkish are going to be ending October 18th for those. Capital One's Japan Airlines is an interesting one because Japan Airlines just started becoming one of their partners. But on top of that, their transfer ratio is not 1-to-1. But with this 30%, it can bring you very close to a 1-to-1 ratio. I think it's 1 to 0.975. So if you have aspirations or a plan, I should say more than an aspiration, a plan to look at Japan Airlines and you have those Capital One points, you may want to see where that works out as far as potentially taking advantage of that. And then we still have the Amex with Air France and Marriott Bonvoy. and Chase with the Avios, Aer Lingus, British Airways, and Iberia, and IHG with the 80% bonus. None of these are groundbreaking. I think the one that's closest to one that people probably need to pay attention to is the Japan Airlines one, because it's such a new transfer partner. And if you've had thoughts of getting on Japan Airlines, that may be a route to look at. And let's move to some points and miles opportunities. As I've always talked about, these opportunities are not exhaustive. I put in as many as I can in the description. These are the ones that are normally just ending or just starting to kind of bring the newest information to you. So Avianca has a flash sale of up to 30% off on their award tickets. Now that's going to end mid this week on October 14th, but the eligible travel is through January 31st. And there's approximately 80 routes that are applicable, and about 40 of them include business as an option. And if you're a Life Miles card holder, you still also have the option of, not the option, but you get an additional 5% for that. Emirates has their 25th anniversary sale where you can earn 50% bonus points on most of their flights. Registration is required, so of course I'll have the link for that in the description. You do need to register and book by October 20th, and you have to travel by November 30th, so it is a small window, and it does apply to their local Fly Dubai airline as well. This is obviously something if you already had something planned to be able to get these additional points, not something that you're picking just for this bonus. Hyatt has an interesting one, and it is very specific to Singapore and Thailand. So you can earn 2x points if you are eating at restaurants within designated hotels of Hyatt's in Singapore and Thailand. Registration is required, and I'll make sure to have that link in the description. It runs September 15th through November 9th, and there's 70 participating restaurants and bars, and that landing page will give you some of that information to be able to look at, but pretty interesting as far as something to increase the opportunity for points with Hyatt. Hilton has a 100% bonus. We do see this come up periodically, so this isn't a groundbreaking sale, but it's always your mileage may vary. I am not getting 100% bonus on this, but many people will. As long as you get to 5,000 points, then the 100% kicks in, or whatever is the top percentage that you have available. That's going to run through November 21st. United with buying points up to 95%. This is another your mileage may vary situation. Ends October 18th. The redemption is not ideal. This is really going to be more for just topping off if you need them. Preferred Hotels has last minute escapes, and that is going to be ending shortly. I think it's tomorrow. I think today's the 12th. So shortly. It does require the code Market Flash for that. And the promotion is for stays through November 14th with 49 hotels eligible. So there is a small range, but it is a small window to look at. Avianca has Multiply Your Miles, where you can double or triple your recent earnings of points to lower your purchase price of potential points as low as 1.23 cents per mile. That ends October 14th. Now, be sure to go to the landing page that I'll have a link for so that you can specifically see how many miles you would need to multiply to get the lowest purchase price. So there's not a set chart for that. You need to make sure to do that on the landing page for yourself. Iberia has an Avio sale. It's unfortunately just on basic economy and economy, but you can get up to 60% off. And this is between the United States and Madrid nonstop, as well as Madrid to Latin America and in the Caribbean, as well as Madrid to Doha and other select European cities. You do have to book by November 16th, and you have to travel by December 31st. But those award tickets are starting as low as 6,400 Avios to be able to travel, which is a really nice number. Best Western has a couple of deals. One is earning up to 10,000 points in North America. Registration is required. Of course, I'll have the link for that. 1,000 points for each stay up to 10 times. And that is through November 2nd. Now, a stay can be as little as 1 day, but you're not going to be able to do it back to back in separate reservations to make that stay work, unfortunately. Then you have earn double points worldwide. That's going to end November 30th. Registration is required on that as well. Marriott, we've got buy points with up to 40% bonus. Once again, this is your mileage may vary. I only got 35%. This is going to end December 7th, and it is tiered where it's 30% once you get at 2,000 points, and then at 40,000 points, it goes to 40% if that is your top percentage. The thing to keep in mind is if you are new to Marriott Bonvoy, you do have to wait 30 days before you can purchase points. So make sure you are aware of that. EVA Air has an interesting one. EVA Air is one of the three Taiwan airlines. You have EVA Air, you have Starlux, which is the newest, and you have China Airlines, which is all working out of Taiwan. You can buy EVA Air's Infinity Mileage Land Miles at up to 50% discount, which would bring it down to about the lowest they've had recently. And that's going to end November 20th. And it is tiered between 10%, 20%, 35%, and then 50% kicks in at the 50,000 point mark, which is good if you're looking at it. The one problem you definitely need to be aware of is you cannot book an award flight if more than 50% of the miles were purchased. That's a very unique one that I've not seen before, but definitely be aware of that if you're trying to buy your way to points to be able to travel, because I don't want you to end up getting stuck with it. Air Canada has their fall sale going on right now to certain destinations in the United States, Canada, Mexico, and the Caribbean. The booking is going to end October 14th, but the travel dates go all the way to May 30th of 2026. There is no promo code or registration is required. I do have a link for their landing page for that fall sale for you to be able to take a look at. And then as far as some quick notes, I want to make sure to say hi to Matt. Appreciate you stopping in, sir, with the bits. Does an excellent job of providing daily information on what's going on in points and miles. It's always a good read. And Lisa J. Stocks, appreciate you stopping in. Definitely one that you want to take a look at. She does an excellent job on not just talking about points and miles, but personal finance as well. So definitely make sure to take a look at it. It's a really good mix of not just the points and miles for that. So appreciate you stopping in and thanks for coming in. Now let's take a look at a few quick notes that I like to always kind of just throw in there. And the first thing, and this one credit goes to Max Miles Points, and this is in regards to the checked bags. We obviously know check bags have kind of, free check bags have kind of gone away, obviously, with the whole new Southwest setup. But he pointed out that using the Getaway by Southwest actually comes standard with 2 check bags for free. You'll also get 2 check bags for free changes and flexible cancellation. So if you were looking at Southwest for a vacation, you definitely want to look at pricing points, not pricing the points, but pricing what that looks like and see if that might be a better deal. Bank of Deals is for Bank of America, and this is for their offerings that we normally would see if you have American Express offers and Chase. Bank of America has that as well. Not necessarily as used or as well known, I think, but they are having double days that run through October 17th. So you might be able to find something that might pique your interest. I did take a look for mine and didn't see anything groundbreaking, but you definitely need to look for yourself because you don't want to miss anything. And then Pan Am Airlines, if you are in my age group probably or older, then you've heard or may have even seen Pan Am go on. Now that airline was in existence till 1991 and then went out of business. But credit to airline geeks that an aviation merchant bank and consulting firm called Aviate, Air Capital, and Pan American Global Holdings, which actually holds the trademark and the rights to the Pan Am name, have begun working with the FAA to obtain certification to fly again. Now, we don't have any information as far as the number of planes, locations, or anything. This is just the beginning, but very interesting for those that might be a bit nostalgic when it comes to airlines. And then Cathay Pacific, I want to point out, is expanding their free Wi-Fi. So they've kind of gone in stages where we obviously Wi-Fi has become a big deal of people of these airlines providing it from Starlink and from other entities. And the big thing is that we've seen them basically provide a lot of them provide it free to everyone or to most. Cathay Pacific has kind of gone in steps. 2022, they offered it to first class members. 2024, they offered it to business class in their diamond status, Cathay Pacific flyers, even in economy. And now gold status is for their members are it will get this for free, starting in premium economy though, although they have now hinted that they will expand to premium economy regardless of status in the near future, but that is to be seen. We'll have to take a look at that. And then as far as new hotels, I always like to point out some new hotels for us that are involved in points and miles, just to see if there's something different for us to be able to use our points on and not to miss some things. A lot of these are going to be a lot of good bread and butter hotels. A lot of times that I'll touch on some very high priced ones that are opening. This one's going to have a more of a mix of some standard ones. So the first one is 25 hours hotel, the Olympia, and this is in Sydney, Australia. It's an Ennismore hotel, which is part of Accor Live Limitless. 109 guest rooms, 4 dining options. They're going to be starting at $340 a night, which is not surprising in Sydney. And if you're not familiar with the Accor Live Limitless points, the points basically are used as credit. So 2,000 Accor Live Limitless points equate to about $40 US, although it will fluctuate based upon the currency exchange. And then we have AC Hotel in St. Augustine, and that is part of Marriott Bonvoy. That's located along the Sebastian River, if you're familiar with St. Augustine. 142 guest rooms starting at $127 a night, or 34,000 Marriott Bonvoy points. Then we have Holiday Inn and Suites in the Sapporo Odori Park in Japan. 195 guest rooms. You might be surprised about the amenities that you're going to see at this Holiday Inn and Suites and at the price that they're talking about. So it comes with they'll have a cafe and bar, restaurant where kids 12 and under eat free, traditional Japanese communal bath, sauna, and fitness center. This is starting at only $74 per night or 14,000 IHG points. Then we have the George at Columbia, which is interesting that it's going to be the first, it's already there. It's the first Hilton hotel in Harlem, New York. So it's located near Columbia University and the Apollo Theater. It's part of their Tapestry collection. 139 guest rooms, heated pool, bar, restaurant, and serving soul food within the restaurant, which is, of course, indicative with the Harlem area. That is from $122 per night or 52,000 Hilton points. We then have the Holiday Inn Express in Suites at Pittsfield, Lenox in the Berkshires. Berkshires would be in Massachusetts, and there are a limited number of hotels that offer points in the Berkshires. I've heard it pronounced both ways. Only 81 guest rooms, fitness center, indoor pool, hot tub, and complimentary breakfast from $112 a night or 22,000 IHG points. And one hotel that is forthcoming, and this is to my guy, John, who I consider the Prince of Iceland, is the Candlewood Suites is going to have one in near Keflavik, or Reykjavik, really. It's called the Candlewood Suites Reykjavik, 45 minutes from Keflavik International Airport, and it's opening in November. 53 apartment style rooms with kitchenettes, and that is refrigerator, microwave, and a dishwasher, which kind of surprised me. From $218 per night in cash. We don't know what the points are going to look like as of yet, as far as being able to book that. So those are what we have for as far as the newest hotels to touch on. Now let's touch on Aeroplan credit card, which probably a lot of people have. And there's going to be some changes that are going to be occurring starting in January. Right now, if you get the Aeroplan card, you get complimentary elite 25K status for the remainder of the current calendar year. You get it and the following year. And then you can get to, if you spend $15,000 in a calendar year, you can extend your 25K status. And if you spend $50,000 in a calendar year, you can reach 35K status. Well, the change that they're going to make starting January, which is not surprising that we're seeing with a lot of different airlines, is to start raising the level to be able to get to certain status. So what they're going to do starting January 1st is you're going to have to spend $75,000 to get to 35K, to elite 35K. You'll no longer can be able to spend that $50,000 in a calendar year to move one level up. So if you are in the middle of looking at this, then you've got until December 31st of this year to be able to trigger that as the last time of doing it. What they're trying to do instead is they're going to earn, you have the ability to earn up to 25,000 status qualifying credits each year when spending up to $50,000 in a calendar year. And they have it as stages, 5,000 SQCs each year. Then when you get to 10,000, when you spend $25,000, you'll get an additional 10,000 SQCs. And then if you reach 50,000, you'll get that additional 10,000 SQCs to bring it to $25,000 total. All of the other things that we normally will see out of Airplan, all of that's going to remain. They're really just focusing on the status and what it costs to get there. So, but definitely if you have it or if you're looking at getting it, that December 31st date is going to be the last time to be able to look at getting that additional status just on that quick spend. Now to look at a hotel that is coming soon that is uber expensive, uber elite to me, as far as because it's a Ritz-Carlton Reserve Resort and it's going to be in Mexico and it's called Siari. And for that hotel, they're already taking reservations on that, and it's going to be opening December 15th, at least it's listed to be. Now, Siari is located in Riviera Nayarit. Nayarit, I believe it's pronounced. It is a 192-mile stretch of Pacific coastline between the Pacific Ocean and the Sierra Madre Mountains. Very nice setting. You got cliffs, you've got the water, even a bit of jungle is listed around there, as I would call it. It is an 80-minute drive from the Puerto Vallarta airport, 920 acres with 4 miles of beach. They'll have 90 rooms and suites and then 35 branded residences. Now, the entry-level ocean view terrace is a whopping 979 square feet, all the way up to the beachfront villas at 2,873 square feet. As I mentioned, the setting is pretty unique with the jungle, cliffs, and beaches. Amenities, as you can imagine, for this kind of resort is going to be plenty. Multiple pools, multiple dining, including seafood, Asian fusion, and international. And this is the second Ritz-Carlton Reserve in Mexico. The other one is the Dune, is located in Los Cabos. It's starting at $800 per night. That does not include the nearly 30% in taxes and fees, service charges that are charged down in Mexico. Now, I've not been to Mexico yet. I'm hoping to do that next year and to see what that's like. But definitely factor that in if you're looking at any cash prices. For points, it's starting at 140,000 points. So this is definitely an investment for having the best that Ritz-Carlton can offer. So that's an option that you can be able to look at. Now, as far as lounges opening, we do have a new British Airways lounge that is open in Miami now, and which is definitely needed. We've talked about Miami a few times as far as the need for more opportunities, more options there in Miami. This is located in Concourse E, right above the departure gate that British Airways uses. Now, it's approximately 13,000 square feet and can accommodate 220 passengers. One thing to note is that eligible British Airway passengers still have access to the American Airlines flagship lounge, and that probably won't change because one thing of note is that British Airways in the winter begins operating 2 daily A380 flights to London, and just in the first and business class, you can have 111 people that could be able to utilize the lounge, let alone people that may have status that are just not in first and business class. Now, this lounge in Dubai are their new design concept, and I'll put a link in there for some of the pictures that I saw of it. It is really nice. They've got 5 distinct zones, including a bar, dining space, focus pads, and a lowered central lounge. They'll have 2 shower suites there. They'll also have the Concord dining room, which is a la carte and has elevated offerings. That is supposed to be just for the first class passengers. And then as far as access to the lounge itself, business and first class passengers will have access, as well as British Airways Club Silver status and higher, and One World Sapphire or higher. One thing we don't know is, does Priority Pass get you access? There are other British Airway lounges that are part of the Priority Pass network. We don't know if this one is going to be as of yet. It's not something I have found an answer to yet. So that may be something that may be there to come, but we'll just have to kind of keep an eye out for it and see what happens. And then we'll move to Bilt as the new Rakuten option. And this seems closer to a reality than a lot of rumors that we always hear about in points and miles. So if you've not heard about it, a Reddit user was browsing Rakuten's help section and noticed that Bilt was listed as one of the 4 ways to get paid. Now, if you're not familiar with Rakuten, Rakuten is basically a portal where you can be able to do online shopping. Rakuten gets money from these different vendors, and then they do a very good job of passing on their revenue to us as people that use it. And we've seen, if you've not been on it, you can see rates, cashback percentages anywhere from 2 to 3%. I've seen them as high as 20 plus percent a couple of times. So there's a really good range. And if it's things that you're already buying, it's a very good shopping portal. One of the big things for it is it's normally cash back, or you can transfer your to PayPal. But the biggest thing that to date has been is to use if you have an Amex card that is membership reward points. So that can be any of the charge cards, the green, the gold, or the platinum. The business credit card also is an option. The now defunct preferred was another option as far as membership reward points. If you have one of those, you can then have the option of those cash back going to becoming American Express membership reward points, and really does a good job of being able to accumulate some points. So the page had specific details saying, have your cash back sent as Bilt points. If you're a Bilt Rewards member, you'll see cashback deals when shopping and will be paid in Bilt points. And they even went to say that Bilt points would be sent to your Bilt account every 3 months. Within hours, though, unfortunately, the page was updated and Bilt disappeared. Now, the biggest thing that I think that comes with this is, if you're a pessimist, you might be thinking, so does this mean Amex is going to go away and Bilt will replace it? Which would be a fear. But it appears that the terms that the person saw and that has been screenshot says that you can't switch between Bilt and American Express points. You have to go through PayPal or cash first, then switch to your preferred points currency. So seems to suggest that this will not replace the Amex option. You'll have a Bilt option as well, which would be absolutely ideal. And for those that may not be aware of Bilt Rewards, you can become a member. There's no cost to it. You do not have to have the card to be able to do that. And I think the biggest thing for this, if and when it happens, which we obviously would expect it will, is the ability to bounce back and forth in how you redeem your Rakuten dollars/points based upon whatever your travel strategy is. So if you end up saying that you want, for instance, maybe you're going to go to either Japan or you're going to use Hyatt, let's say. Well, Hyatt is only available through Bilt and Chase. So you may decide that for the first part of the year, you'll get enough Bilt points to transfer to Hyatt to be able to use for your next trip. But maybe the airline that you're interested in is not necessarily in Bilt, but in American Express. Then you switch over to American Express. and accumulate your points there. Bilt is one. The issue with Bilt normally is that unless you're a renter and using those to gain those 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 points on a point per dollar basis for your rent, it's not necessarily the easiest to rack up Bilt points. You can definitely work the dining plan that they have there and really get a lot of points if you're going out a lot. But outside of that, it's not necessarily been the easiest one to really rack up thousands of points at, or tens of thousands of points. This one would definitely be an option that should get people there and really give a lot of flexibility in this. And because Rakuten is so widespread, there's probably going to be something for everyone. So definitely something to keep an eye on, and we'll definitely keep an eye out for it. Then let's move to premium Southwest card coming. Now, this is an interesting one because of what Southwest has done all these years to what it is trying to evolve into. We obviously have had the cattle call aspect of no assigned seating. We are now obviously transitioning into the regular assigned seating right now. You can ones that you're booking after a certain date for 2026, you now have assigned seats. I, unfortunately, who does not like flying Southwest normally, it's the only way I can go to see for us to see our son on a direct flight. So I still don't have the assigned seating for that, and horrible point conversion, but that's another story. So let's talk about what the survey came out on for this, and make sure to say hi to Ryan. Appreciate you stopping in, sir. Thanks so much. And so let's talk about this. So this credit goes to View from the Wing. This survey went to some Southwest flyers. It's not something that my wife or I saw as people that are members of Southwest. Now, the survey is asking about levels when it comes to a premium travel credit card. And so they were looking at the range of anywhere from $395 a year all the way to $695 a year. The survey did say that they will be opening premium lounges in multiple Southwest hubs. We obviously don't have a time frame for that, but obviously if they're going to be looking at doing a premium credit card, that would be something that they'd have to look at. And one thing we've discussed before is that many of the places where the Southwest hubs are really don't have a lot of lounge access, if any. So it does make sense for them to look at that, but that's a very heavy investment that Southwest would have to do. So with the premium card that would be proposed, you would get access to those lounges with that card. Some of the additional benefits that they kind of threw out there is priority pass select for you plus one guest, of course, global entry or TSA pre-check, select preferred seats and upgrade to extra leg room within 48 hours of departure, which is a component for people normally with higher status with Southwest. A free round trip ticket worth up to $400 if you spend $25,000 in annual spend on the credit card. Clear credit, which is interesting because right now, the only entity that we really are familiar with that has clear is American Express. Authorized user lounge access, which is obviously becoming a big deal as these credit cards have gone from authorized users getting no additional cost access to now having to pay additional dollars to be able to get the lounge access for an authorized user. And then, of course, because Southwest is through Chase, you've got the Shops at Chase credit, the Edit credit, and then, of course, wellness, dining, and other rideshare credits. Now, I think the interesting thing to me on this is it sounds good in theory, but unless you are probably a really diehard Southwest flyer, I'm not even sure if it still is going to be something that most people would want. I'm curious of your thoughts, though. I could easily see if you're going to certain airports that have no lounge and that Southwest may be the only game in town and you fly there constantly, then the value benefit may end up working itself out because you don't have other options and it's only Southwest. But getting Southwest Airlines to that kind of number, and obviously, as we talk about more and more of those credits, we're really talking about not 395. We're really talking about the 595 to 695 range. And I would be curious of your thought when it comes to airlines. Obviously, my personal preference for an airline credit card at this point is the Atmos Summit card, which is obviously much less than that. And they went with a different route as far as the whole lounge access thing. But this is definitely going to be some for someone that is a huge Southwest uh, person that is just flying Southwest. I see that Ryan said that he's fine with just the Plus card, free check bags, and good flight code promos. Uh, I call uh, I call every year in the credit and they credit the annual fee. Maybe if they open a lounge worth going to in Chicago. Yeah, they've it's going to be something. Even Dallas Love Field is going to be an issue, for that. So I think it's interesting. Mainly because of the fact that we're as I said, it's a transformation of going from the low cost carrier to now talking about lounge investment. And we've talked about how much lounges can end up costing at different airports. Now, some of their hubs are not necessarily at the premium quote or most costly airports, but space is still space, and to develop it is still a lot of money. So I'm curious of what you all's thoughts are going to be as far as the Southwest potential premium card. We're obviously at the infancy stage of this, especially if you're going to, and I think this was an issue that we saw with JetBlue. JetBlue puts out their premier credit card that's nearly $500 a year for it to get you lounge access for JetBlue, and we don't have a lounge yet. We know that there's one slated, but they're not here yet. So if that's the case for them, when would this card come out and how quickly could they develop their first lounge, because of the fact that a lot of these airports don't really have a lounge or limited. It's not likely that they're going to be able to renovate an existing one to get one out quicker. So that should end up being interesting. I see Timothy said Southwest is the blue collar guy that feels like he belongs at the country club. I think they are good at what they do and need to be careful at what they wish for. I think that's exactly correct. I think that I was a fan when they went to the assigned seating because because obviously they saw their numbers was not working out for them. I'm a person that not the most fond of that, not having an assigned seat, because even for my flight that I'm going to take to see our son, I'm paying up to at least get to be able to have an early bird, to at least get myself somewhere in the first group, but not the business select or what used to be business select for those top 15. I think that the whole lounge aspect and the premium cards, obviously, a lot of these airlines are making a lot of money. Delta, United, American all make significant money with these deals. Southwest, I can understand why they might see that there is some strong possibilities of getting that, but the investment that they're going to have to make to do it, to get there, and if you are the regular Southwest flyer and you're used to not doing lounge access, is it enough at this point to say, yes, I'm going to put up that extra potential three, four, five, maybe nearly $700 in annual fees to now have it? Or have you already found your alternatives that you're already comfortable with and are not looking to do that? So I think that's going to be the interesting thing for them. But once you do this, you are all into it. And there's a lot, and I agree with Timothy, there's a lot of risks of doing this, because if you put that card out there first with with the first lounge that comes shortly behind it, if that card does not go well for a premium card, now you've got people that did get that card that are expecting that lounge access and the other benefits, and you may not be able to get that lounge access nearly as quick to them, which is what I think we're partly of what we're seeing with JetBlue. And at this point, we are already seeing where even the cards that are the flexible spending, flexible currency cards, the Sapphire Reserve, the City Strata Elite, which we talked about earlier. Those sales or the people getting those cards, the numbers are not what they anticipated. And that's why we've seen both of them have to play around with that welcome bonus to try to entice more people there. So when you're trying, in the case of Chase Sapphire Reserve, when you're trying to be something that like the American Express Platinum, and yes, you see that money sitting out there that American Express makes, but we're clearly not seeing that they're meeting their numbers. Southwest would obviously really freak me out for that type of thing because of the fact that it's not something. I think people have already found their alternatives to lounge access at this point. So we'll have to definitely keep an eye on things to see what happens with that. I'll be very curious and definitely make sure to keep in contact with you all. As far as videos that are upcoming, I just wanted to be able to say that I did a series just kind of for the beginner points and miles, and that the advisory board members of the channel, I've gotten that to them to look at and give me their thoughts, their critique, and all. And so that'll be wrapping up next week, and then I'll start putting these out. And these are based. This is not. This is just something for people to be able to see. And I've mentioned it before, to that have ever considered points and miles, to let them to kind of give some baseline regarding that. 8 episodes, most of them are like 6 minutes, something, but hopefully people to become aware of what you can do with points and miles. And it's something that that it's done so much for me that I just want to present it to people to look at. And it's not a sales job or anything like that, just to make people familiar with that. So that'll be coming out probably in 2 weeks, and it'll be 2 episodes a week, maybe Tuesdays and Thursdays. That'll be out, and then I'll do a live stream each Saturday just to kind of recap the two videos, those 2 episodes that came out, and then also to be there to answer questions, talk about the different aspects of it, how I utilize that process. And it goes all the way from the beginning of looking at what points and miles are, the credit card myths, FICO score, as well as everything from being able to maximize those points. So I'm hopeful that'll be helpful to a lot of people, and that'll be coming out pretty soon. And want to say hi to James. Appreciate you stopping through, sir. And Matt, Southwest lounges, you mean future Chase lounges? Definitely going to be access. I agree. It's definitely going to be some Chase lounges. I think the question's going to end up being is we're going to be able to add probably numbers to those Chase lounges, but I would expect, and I'll be curious of you all's thoughts, that it's not going to be to the level of what we've seen those Chase Sapphire lounges for it, but it does add to the system, which I think that makes a very good point that Matt's saying. So, but those are the things that I wanted to be able to share with you all today. For things, I really appreciate you all taking time out to come onto the channel for this. Still trying to feel my way of when these live streams are going to be. I'm kind of becoming fond of the Sunday noon time for me. But definitely let me know if you've all got different thoughts about it. But it's definitely something that's kind of fitting in for me. But I'll have that out and get this out for the recording. And I want to really thank you all, unless you all think there's anything else we need to touch on for today. Otherwise, I really appreciate you all taking your time. And I know it's valuable, and you can definitely do a lot of other things with it. But I'm hopeful that this was helpful to you. So thank you all so much, and I look forward to talking with you all soon. Take care.